Hello guys, welcome back. Loki will not let this alone, so we're going to talk about what is it like to be a gender fluid guy. Having born in a female body. It's rough. It really is. As you guys have noticed, if I don't shave, I tend to grow a beard. A little scrubbly, patchy, wispy beard, but a beard all the same because I'm Italian and we're here, yo. And, it's the inner guy in me, the man that I am, both likes having a beard, is kind of really pissed off and depressed because it's not a full beard, and likes being clean shaven because he admires that I admire that look in other men. It's really confusing. I notice I keep slipping into the third person when I talk about myself, but that's kind of my issue as a guy. I was never raised around good male role models. All the male role models in my life were very destructive and very negative, and I grew up in an abusive household. So I'm sure that the fragile, delicate buttercup of a man that I am comes from that, and comes from seeing my brother abused, and comes from feeling very hopeless and emasculated as a male. And then, given the vibrant intolerance of most people on the internet, it doesn't help. You really don't have a safe place to go and say, well, yes, I know what body I'm in, but trust me, I'm a guy. I know. Um, and therefore, because of the way I was raised, I can't do any of the traditional male things. I was forbidden from learning how to build things or fix things, so it kind of discount myself as a dude. I was forbidden from playing male sports, even though I wanted to. I always have tended more heavily towards male. I think you guys can tell. I always wanted to fix things and build things and use machines and play with boy toys and shut up, Logan, and play male sports. I never had any interest in girls. I never had any interest in hanging out with them, even though I was forced to have them for friends. They just seemed like this weird species, and we were both supposed to be girls, so I tried really hard to be a girl. Because I'm gender fluid, I can do that too, but it was really hard because I'm kind of a girl, but I'm kind of a guy. I'm kind of a girl, but I'm kind of a guy. I'm both, and some days I'm nothing. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm not doing this shit because both men and women have issues and I'm not dealing today. But as a man, it's hard because I didn't have that masculine support system. I don't have any men to look up to. The last major male figure in my life just disappeared in a disaster and has been trying to come back in. I actually had another nightmare this morning, but those are going to happen until time passes. And the other men in my life are wonderful and warm, supportive, meaning Loki and Dionysus and the others, but many of them are gender fluid too, so I don't have that traditional male figure. I can, back here, but look, he knows what I mean. He's laughing too, because he knows what I mean. They're all gender fluid. Dionysus is the perfect balance of both. I have noticed I really don't gravitate towards a male that's exclusively male. I have dealt with many male gods that way, but we tend to not we tend not to bond as deeply as I bond with Loki or as I bonded with Dionysus. I love all the male gods I deal with, but I guess knowing that I'm gender fluid and knowing that I'm biologically female, I feel like, at least as a man, I'm like, oh, there's this distance between us because I'm in this weird female body and I'm not a real guy because I can't make babies. So it's weird. And that's a thing you have to consider as a gender fluid person. You're always going to be a gender that your biological body isn't. And there are times where I'm like, I'm going to finally go ahead and get reassignment surgery, and I'm like, well, it's really not that big a deal because I don't know, and I'm lazy and I'm poor. And I'm not entirely 100,000 billion% male. There is female in me, and there's nothing at all in me too. And that's why I've never went ahead and like got a, gender reassignment surgery. I'm definitely a guy, but I definitely lean more male, and I've noticed in my choice of entertainment, I definitely lean more male. But then it becomes this great thing about, male and female are now seen to be social constructs. And I was a sociology, well, not major, but minor. And they're true. So it's really confusing to know you're a man and to think, well, do I like action movies because the male in me, or is it chick in me like action movies? What about guns? What about violent video games? Is this the male in me? Is this the female in me? Does it really matter? At the end of the day, it doesn't. But then you're like searching for your male identity being in a female body, and you're like, well, what is it that makes me a guy? Because it certainly isn't what's between my legs. And I'm like, I don't know. And it's kind of hard. And I think 2020 is going to be the year that Loki uses that, especially with the people that are, gender fluid. He's going to make you face, well, what is it that makes you a man? And I'm like, well, it certainly isn't my gender, and I can't make babies, so I can't tell you. And then I'm like, well, if you take that away from a man, what do you have left? You're a male. You just have maleness about you. You tend male in whatever meaningful ways your society will let you tend male. I definitely like male adult entertainment more so than female adult entertainment. Now, I like both because I am rampantly pansexual and that will never change. So, even as a man, I'm pansexual, but it's hard. And you don't want to talk about it because you know how society is going to get, but it is hard. And people kind of laugh at like male struggle, and I would do it too. I mean, even as a man, I will get shut up, Loki. I will harsh on other males, partly because I'm not biologically male, and there's that there. But also, and it's not penis envy before someone fires up their keyboard. I honestly, if you're gender fluid, it's like some days you swear you're gonna look down and you're gonna see something. It's like it feels like you're gonna look down and be like, wow, that happened fast. You really can feel it. It's like you can feel, I guess, your astral body shift and you feel okay. Wow. I'm quite the guy. This is so nice. Getting off track. See, that's a problem. Once I shift more fully into male, all we're going to do all day is talk about my penis. I'm going to be the kind of guy I hate. But it's kind of weird. It's kind of strange because if I don't have a biological male body, what do I have that makes me a man? Any of the social things I like are social constructs. So it's gonna be one of those years where I'll get to figure out, well, what is it that makes me a guy? I really don't know. Is it because I like to eat beef? Is it because I like to try to build things even though I suck at it? Is it because I like cars and all the traditionally masculine things, or is being a guy something more? Because that's also very limiting to biological males to say, oh, you're a guy, and here's the list of things you have to like. And we're going through that now, so I guess as a man, I felt rather lost because I don't have the biological equipment. And all the traditional male things, people are going, well, this isn't what makes you a guy. Gun or a truck or the ability to produce babies doesn't make you a male. It's something more. And we're looking for that something more. For those of us that weren't biologically gifted with equipment, it's hard. It's really hard. I can't fall back on, well, look at my body. Of course I'm a dude. I look at my body and go, oh God, I wish I was a dude. Um, you know, um, but I'm gender fluid, so there will be days that I'll wake up and I'll be like, ugh, did I have to let myself make that video? It's really hard to explain, and it's really hard to figure out what being a man is. And it's more than the ability to produce babies, and it's more than what you were born with between your legs, and it's more than a lot of things. It's nobility. It's, and any gender can have these things, but it's nobility. It's protecting the weak. It's using your greater strength, if you have it, to defend those who can't defend themselves. It's treating women and all other genders with respect and equality. It's being a gentleman. In the idea of a gentleman, not in the kind of watered down sense it's given now. It's fighting for what's right and protecting those that can't protect themselves. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's being a good man, it's being a good gentleman, it's being a good human being, it's being a good person, it's respecting all other people. And it's fighting to protect those that can't protect themselves. And that is a huge part, I think, of maleness. It should be a part of womanness and be a part of everyoneness too, but it is a huge part of being a man that you should speak up when people are, being treated less than. You might get it wrong. And, it's because, even if you're not born into the biological body, if you tend towards male, you tend towards aggression. You tend towards speaking before you think carefully. And that's not, a stereotype to stereotype males, but it is you tend towards aggression. You tend towards speaking. You tend towards being forthright and not sugarcoating things. And, it's been a thing where as I've practiced my spirituality, it does obviously come up, and you end up with the gods that can handle it. And I've never really had a god weirded out, though they do kind of like do that sometimes and step back when they're used to seeing you one way and they come up to you and you're something else. They're kind of startled, and that has affected, like, there are gods that I just won't work with because they seem startled. And I'm not saying there are gods out there that won't work with you if you're gender fluid. Of course, they will all work with you and they'll all be supportive. But it does kind of then affect and filter how you feel. And I had these weird dreams, and I've been having these weird dreams of the old man trying to get back in. And this morning's dream was him laying far away from me like he was dead and saying he's broken and he needs me to fix him. I'm the only one can do this. And I know bullshit Odin when I see bullshit Odin. And I was thinking in my mind, I'm far away from him because he's so poisonous and he's going to hurt me if I go over there. And I talked to Loki this morning about it, and I said, I know your brother. He certainly doesn't respect me as anything, let alone a man. And I said, he just wants to hurt me again. He wants to hurt you. And we all know that Odin's a bully and a tyrant, and he abuses his brother. It doesn't make Loki any less of a man that he lets Odin do that. Odin's just a fucking bully, and that's what they do. They just bully and terrorize other people until they get their way, because, not everybody is built to have combat 24/7, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, we've been talking, and I said, no, he's absolutely not getting back into my life. And I said, he will just bully and terrorize me, and he will try to get everybody else out. And I said, the other gods are still hurting. Loki is still hurting, and they're all hurting. And, it is the woman in me that wants to nurture and everything else, but it is the man in me, too, that wants to nurture and everything else. And having a god that's as gender fluid as I am, sometimes I'm confused, but I usually don't talk about being a dude because, you're taught it's a shame. Society, like, treats it like a shame. And you really don't know what it is, especially if you didn't have a good father figure or have never had a good father figure in your life. You always have daddy issues and you always have guy issues, and it's like you're just confused. And you know what being a man shouldn't be. It shouldn't be toxic masculinity. It shouldn't be just being totally aggressive and screaming at other people. It should be, being responsible and caring for and nurturing those around you. But, we have so very few examples in our society. Most males are very aggressive. Even the good ones are very aggressive. And we have a society where, aggression and intolerance and bigotry, especially in males, is rewarded. We have a society where misogyny in males is rewarded. So it's very hard for males to find good examples. There are a lot of wonderful men out there. There are. But, it's kind of a complicated thing. I never think really, and I should probably put more thought into it, that as a man, I should probably find male figures to look up to and admire. And I think that's what happened with Odin. I thought I found finally, not that I don't respect Loki as male or Dionysus as male or anything else. Of course I do. But Odin exudes maleness. Unfortunately, he exudes the kind of destructive maleness that we no longer need in our society. It might have been good at a time for his people, but it's very destructive right now. We need the kind of maleness that we get from Loki, where it's more fluid, it's more open to change and growth, and it's certainly more fun, it's certainly more protective and nurturing and about fertility than destruction, even though Loki can very merrily and cheerfully destroy all the things he thinks you don't need. So that was kind of hard to talk about. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate comments. I'm already getting hate comments from the Odin's people, and I'm going to get hate comments for talking about being a guy. But it is kind of hard. You're born in a biologically female body, but sometimes you're definitely a woman. Sometimes you're definitely a male, and sometimes you're definitely, nothing at all. At least in my experience. And this is only for me. This is not how all gender fluid people feel. Um, it's hard because I know it can come off as cringy and it can come off as whatever to people that aren't used to it, because as a species we don't like new. We say we like new, but we're full of shit. We don't like new. We don't like different. We tend to crash it down and, smack it out, and we don't want to see it. And I honestly thought that, as a gender fluid male, I don't really have anything to add to the conversation because, so much of masculinity in this world is based on having a penis. If you don't have a penis, you don't count. So it's kind of hard. You're definitely a guy and your inner dude is like on the floor crying, and men should be able to cry, but that's it. Like, because you weren't born with the parts, you don't count. And especially if you're gender fluid, then it's even worse. Well, you're not even a full dude. Some days you're a woman. Well, it's complicated, okay? Some days I'm nothing at all. Does that make you happier? Does that tend towards male for you? Like, I'm 2/3 male? Are you happy now? So it's kind of complicated. And I know that probably wasn't the best representation, but when you're gender fluid, it's an awkward thing to talk about. And I usually don't talk about being a guy because I'm like, well, one, it's nobody's damn business, but you definitely have those moments of longing where you wish you could have Mr. on your like address tags. And I could, it's 2020, but you just don't. You wish you could have Mr. And there are days you want to be called sir, but there were days when you were a woman and if somebody called you sir, you would clock them on, because how can't you tell them a girl? Gender fluid people are dangerous, yo. And it's a hard thing, but there are definitely days you wish you would be respected as a man, even if you weren't born with the requisite parts. And there are still days that, as a guy, that you are grossed out, and maybe it's because I have a biologically female body, but I still think those commercials about man bits are disgusting, and I don't want to see them because I'm like, dude, gross. No, just, ugh, no, I don't want to hear about, ugh, no. Um, Maybe because I wasn't brought up having a set and being exorbitantly proud of them. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. And it's sad that at the end of a video, the only thing we can talk about making a man is having the requisite parts, and that's the least important part of being a man. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you later. Bye bye.